position.
Certainty. Okay. Now, so she has had the idea that she needs to be certain in order to act certain.
Oh, I have, yes, I have this idea.
Yeah. And sometimes it can be useful to make that separation. So what would it be like if you gave yourself the freedom to just recognize that as a parent, you do the best you can. Sometimes you need to act certain, even if you're not completely certain. So what if you think about that now, does that make sense to you?
It does, and I have used that sometimes.
With your clients, right?
No, I mean, I have acted certain. There are still some times when that isn't enough.
Okay. What is missing in those times? So let me just check. Is it enough some of the time?
Oh, yes.
Okay. For you to just
and
go,
it's a good
I'll act
one,
certain.
and I value it and would be willing to add it on more often.
Okay. It might be worth taking the time to think right now about when exactly you want to add it on. When is the more often in the future? Like in what kind of situations does that give you the freedom that you need to just go ahead and act certain so that you can set a certain limit and be powerful, be congruent, even if you're not quite sure. Which of us can be sure as a parent about what's the right thing to do with a kid? This has been the subject of much discussion for I don't know how many millennia. There are a lot of people who think they're certain, who are certain, in fact, for themselves, but I don't know if that makes them right.
That's true. I don't want to be, you're right, I don't want to be certain. And sometimes I have to act as though I am certain. That's true. Okay.
Yeah, and in a way...
And that sounds like I can, yeah, if I can let go of thinking I need to be certain, then I can do it more often. Yeah.
Great.
Okay, I like it.
Great.
Let's do that. I mean, I will. And you can do whatever you want.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, and so if you think about that now, all the different areas, the different times when you want to do that. Because in a way, she, I'm sure, wants to be a good model. You want to be a good model for your daughter in parenting as well as do a good job right then in the moment. And I don't know about in your world, but in my world, it makes sense to be, one way to be a good model is to recognize all of our limitations. We're not God. We don't know for sure, but we need to do our job as a parent. And to pass that on can be a useful learning for children, too. I'm not saying, for the parent to go, I'm not setting myself up to be right. I'm not setting myself up to be infallible, but I am setting myself up to be the parent. And as such, I'll do the best I can. This is the best that I can. And this is it.
Okay, so really what I need to do is let go of trying so hard to be certain. I thought I needed to be certain more often, but it's the opposite. If I were willing to be less certain more often and still keeping myself decisive most of the time, that will work.
Great. Great. Yeah, and most of the time, I agree completely. Not all the time, or she'd be insufferable, right, to her daughter. And now, think about this for a moment. And I see no danger here, by the way. She's not anywhere close. We could go a long ways before we would get to insufferable, is my impression.
I haven't chatted with my daughter.
Well, only when you think you have to be certain do you get insufferable.
That's true. And I'm giving that up, aren't I?
Yeah.
You're right. Or did I already give it up?
Didn't you? Think how much more fun it can be, too, to just be your parent and not have to be certain and not have to know that this is the right and only or whatever way to do it. Now, think for a moment if I had gone ahead to give her exactly what she thought she wanted before. She wants to be certain more. Then I probably would not have succeeded, by the way. I would have spent 2 hours trying to impose it on her, and some part of her would have been really sharp and would have gone no way. Because she would recognize that that wasn't so useful. It would make her into another one of the people who run around going, I know this is right, I know it for certain, and try to impose themselves on other people. At least it would have that danger. Does that make sense to you? Okay. So now, when you think about being with your daughter, and in one of these situations that had been uncomfortable, what is it like now? Actually, I should go, what can you enjoy or be pleased with might be better. What can you be pleased with about your new response?
I can be pleased that it's not so serious, and that I can stay more relaxed.
And how can your new response, where you have power when you decide, well, this is what you're going to do in this situation, but you don't have to be right, you don't have to know for sure, how can that allow you to give something valuable, even more valuable than that particular limit, to your daughter, even when she won't recognize it then?
Well, she can certainly learn by my example that a person can be more flexible.
Yeah. Okay. Now, do you have any questions so far, by the way? I haven't been stopping on these last few, but I'm presupposing the new choice, making sure it's in the future. I don't think I really needed that. She was already demonstrating she had it. This is sort of adding it in there even more tightly. Also, most people will feel better about their new choices when they not only have them, but they can enjoy them or feel pleased about something with respect to them. So I'm adding some little extras in there, hopefully, for her. Also, I have my eye on making sure that this works, even when she doesn't. Her daughter's not going to go, oh, well, okay, Mom.
Not
right?
my daughter, not.
And I want to be sure that this works fine anyway. I mean, my kids don't do that. They're not even teenagers yet. So, but I can go, well, this is my job as a parent, and seeing their progress over the long run, I think this is what will work the best. It's the best that I know. And I also know that next year I'll know more. Is there anything else that you need or want with respect to that? So when you think about it now,
Thank you.
you're welcome. Yeah. Oh yeah, we get the mic. We get the microphone. So you can use that as food for the unconscious to have yet more examples. Because my sense is having lots of examples is part of what our unconscious thrives on. And also, I want to encourage you to take this particular exercise that you did this afternoon with the very literal part of writing things down. Sometimes we got carried away and we started just going for it. We got to go for it. And I think it's maybe even easier if you're doing it yourself with someone to take the time to just pause and write it out and think, now, is there anything else presupposed in this that's not immediately jumping out at me? And just pause a little bit and not feel like I have to jump in and respond right away. I've learned a tremendous amount from doing that, from sitting down with my notepad with somebody, and so that I feel the freedom to do that. I like to do that either in a learning situation like this or in a study group with someone else where this is okay, you know. Or what I did was I worked with people without charging them, and then I felt comfortable doing something I didn't yet feel really familiar with and certain if I could get them their outcome or not. So those were my ways of making it respectful of both of us. You know, if somebody comes in and they're paying me a bunch of money and they have a phobia and I know I can deal with it really quickly with the phobia cure, I don't feel like I'm using their money well if I take longer, just for my own learning. That's my own. So I just did it. To make it possible for me to learn, I did it in that frame. And I have a home fun suggestion for you. You can actually do it at work or anywhere. And that is, there are a number of ways to really incorporate language patterns, and we've been using many of them over the last couple of days and some earlier and so on. I'm planning to eventually work up a booklet for people to use more to work with language at home and continue with it, because I very much think that language is very much the basis of NLP. It's the original basis from which the patterns start emerging. There are ways to codify changes in presuppositions. So you take some. Many of the NLP patterns are geared towards shifting the presupposition that I can do nothing and that things are out of my control. Many of them directly change that. They change presuppositions that I'm stuck and helpless and nothing can be done about this. They change presuppositions of worthlessness to everything has a positive intent. All of those wonderful presuppositions are embedded within the NLP procedures. How many of you, looking back on just what you did today, had the sense that, oh, we collapsed anchors here. We changed state on this. Or, oh, we just did a strategy change, or, oh, we did a visual squash, or one group once did a swish pattern conversationally, and we looked back on it and we went, that's a swish pattern, isn't it? And I don't know if you have that sense of any of what you did, that, oh, I can see an NLP procedure in here, re-anchoring or something. So for me, going back to language gets us back to a little bit closer to the to really needing to be clear about what our outcome is, and greater flexibility in how we're going to proceed to get there, so that everything we know from all the procedures as well as all the forms of language can be right there and available. Now, to get good at that, or another way to put it, is to get the full benefit from that. To really benefit from that fully is not a matter of a one-line change. I know of no one-line change that can totally make language patterns a part of someone's being. Now, maybe this is stating the too obvious, but I think we've been discussing this the last couple of lunches. We have, those of us in this field of NLP, we've seen so many rapid changes, and we've experienced so many, that there's sometimes a tendency to think that oh, I should get all the procedures just like that too. And we keep going for faster and make it easier and more fun and all of that, and I think those are useful goals, and I think it's useful for me to think of it in terms of through-time commitment. If I want to get the full benefit, that will come out of a through-time commitment to making it a part of my ongoing life. It's not going to be a matter of a one-line change. So if I take language patterns and I take 1 week and I listen the whole week for presuppositions in people's language, and I pause several times during the day and write them down so that I'm clear that I'm reflecting on them, and I write down the ones that I don't think are so useful, and then I write down what kind of positive presuppositions would really work in that environment instead. And I write those out next to it. And pretty soon, after I've done that for a week, I'll be thinking differently. And things will be coming out of my mouth a little bit differently. I might take a day on each of the language patterns. I might take, some are worth more than a day. I might take several days just on negative commands, even though it's a very simple idea. It's worthy of a lot of time to really do that. Because I've made a commitment to, I was talking to Ben about this too, about a month ago, I finally, after 15 years of total negligence, I finally realized, oh, I do have a body. And I decided to join a health club. So I have always hated exercise, and I've never been into doing that kind of thing, even though I knew intellectually it was good for me and other people. And then, in a weak moment, I promised somebody that I would do it. And I said I promised I would do it for 3 months, so I had to keep my word. And it's interesting because as soon as I began, I immediately felt like, oh, this is what I'm going to always do. So maybe not this particular form, but something like this. This is what I'm committed to, because I want to do something to continually develop my physical body as well as the other levels that are important to me. So, and it's very clear as I walked into the Nautilus room, and I started, they started showing me how to use it, and I started doing it, and they all laughed. They didn't very often get someone as incompetent on those as me in there. It was clear. So they were trying to keep a straight face while they were showing me how to use all these pieces of equipment. And I felt like I'd made real progress when sometimes I could move one of those once, at the lowest setting. But I realized very soon the really nice thing about being totally inept at something, or at least close to that, was that I made such rapid progress. It was so obvious, too. Like, oh, wow, I've doubled the number. I could do 1 yesterday and 2 today. That's 100% progress. And it's also very clear that it's that weekly, regular commitment to that will benefit me fully over time in that domain. And I think it's very like learning the NLP skills really well, particularly the language. So I want to thank you all for your presence and your full participation this weekend. It's been fun for me. I hope for you also.